Breaking news. New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh has announced that Mike Williams and slot corner Michael Carter II will be fully healthy to play week one. How important is this for the Jets? How does this shift the odds of the game? It is a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, and we are live.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Welcome in, everyone. We are here on a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, a breaking news stream at that. Head coach Robert Saleh has announced that wide receiver Mike Williams and slot corner Michael Carter II will be fully healthy for the Jets' Week 1 matchup. Just really less than 2 weeks away now against the San Francisco 49ers, but we're going to get right into it. Everyone smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed. If you would like to call into the show, pin comment in the chat. I'd love to hear your guys' reaction, and then you could also submit questions in the chat, and I will get to it in short amount of time. Anyways, let's get right into it. So obviously, like I said, breaking news. Jets head coach Robert Saleh has announced wide receiver Mike Williams and Michael Carter II will be fully healthy. We'll start with Carter first before we get into Williams. Carter, towards the end of July, suffered an ankle injury during red zone drills at training camp practice. Hasn't returned since. I put an article out about it for Jets X Factor a few days ago. Head coach Robert Saleh told Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic just a few days ago that his status was, quote, unclear for week one. So this is definitely the news you want to hear. Obviously, Carter is one of the best slot corners in all of football, probably the best. He was ranked the ninth best cornerback overall for PFF. He allowed, I think, 0.62 yards per coverage snap last season. So this is really big news for the Jets, and it would have made an already challenging matchup even harder for the Jets. So it's just so important that you get a player like Carter there. I don't care that the 49ers are missing pieces as well, but Carter, he's so important. Last season he allowed a career low 4.8 yards per target. He's just elite. Like I said, Pro Football Focus ranked him the ninth best cornerback in all of football. He earned 90.9 overall PFF grade. He is just an elite cornerback. So it's great to see that the Jets have him back fully healthy for week one. But obviously the bigger name here, if you will, is Mike Williams. Jets add Williams this offseason. Hey, he tore his ACL week 3 of last year. He's had his fair share of injury issues these past few years, but get him back for week 1, that only adds so much more depth. Question is, what is his production going to look like? We've seen him a bit during practice, not a ton, as he's still, like I said, recovering from that ACL injury, but it's great to see that he will be fully healthy for the Jets' week 1 matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. In terms of what Williams brings to the table, I think we all know that big body, contested catch rates. I'll pull up his stats from when he was fully healthy. He's been elite though. When he's healthy, obviously he had Keenan Allen with him when he played with the Chargers. So if we look at his 2022 numbers here, 90 targets, 63 receptions, 895 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Overall PFF grade of 78.9, 14.2 yards reception is what Williams was averaging. He was elite. He was elite signing when the Jets got him. It's just the question right away when started training camp. Hey, is he going to be healthy for week 1? Now one of the Jets' biggest question marks has been solved. And going back to Carter again, like I said, if the Jets lost Carter, that would have depleted their secondary. Helped really deplete their secondary. Best slot corner in football, in my opinion. That's the breaking news for the day. But I still wanted to touch on some things that Joe Douglas mentioned today and some other news that happened earlier on today. Before we do that, let's go into the chat. Let's see. Wildwave, I expect him to be on a pitch count similar to Brees. When you say pitch count, are you referring to MC2 or I think you're referring to Williams? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Jets do. Obviously, Lazard has a similar stereotype as as Williams, that big body, hope to get contested catch rate. I really want to see what he could do. I want to see how the Jets utilize him week one when he first returns from that injury. But let's see. Stack, good to see you in the chat. I appreciate it. Yes, everyone smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. Keep it going. Stack agrees with Wildlife. He thinks that's the plan. I'll touch on that. Yeah. I think the Jets. That's the proper thought. I think the Jets will, like you mentioned, do something similar to what they did with Brees last year. Still recovering. I mean, he tore it in week 3 of last season. We've seen him play in practice this past week or so, but it's going to be really interesting to see how the Jets utilize him, because especially you got to hope that Lazard could play well. Have a bounce back year after what we saw last year, with hopefully Rodgers could stay healthy under center, and then Lazard could do what we saw him do in Green Bay. But I want to touch on a few things from Joe Douglas' press conference today. He spoke to the media for the first time throughout training camp, first time really since towards the end of last year. He spoke about the Hassan Reddick situation. I think that was probably the biggest storyline. Obviously, I mean, Hassan Reddick yet to report to training camp. He said, quote, "We did talk about an extension. Once one wasn't agreed upon, we had the conversation and we felt good about making the trade." He's referring not to the trade request that Hassan Reddick requested a trade out of the New York Jets organization. He's referring to when the Jets first acquired Reddick. That's when they first had those talks about an extension. Yet it's a complete stalemate situation right now. I mean, you look at Reddick, he's made it abundantly clear, okay, I'm not going to show up to Florham Park until I get paid. And the Jets have made it clear, we're not going to pay you until you show up to Florham Park. He's currently looking for a multi-year extension, lucrative at that, in the range of $25 to $28 million a year. My comp for this is Myles Garrett is currently getting paid an AAV of $25 million a year. So, hey, he deserves to get paid. I'll give you that for sure. Reddick, there's no question that Reddick deserves to get paid. Has over 50 sacks these past 4 years, had 16 in 2022, finished 4th in Defensive Player of the Year voting that year. So interesting to see what Douglas had to say there. He also, he said when he was asked just about the pressure, obviously they get a mulligan year this year after we saw Aaron Rodgers tear his Achilles just 4 plays into the Jets' 2023 season. When he was asked about that, he said, quote, we're past the point of growth. This team is ready to win. So, he's made it clear, all right, he's done everything he can to help make this team, really a winning team this offseason, whether it was revamping the offense by adding John Simpson, Morgan Moses, Tyron Smith, adding Mike Williams. And if you're just joining, Mike Williams will be fully healthy for the Jets' Week 1 matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. He's done everything he possibly can to put this team in a position to win football games. So, I think that's the proper answer. Joe Douglas is not someone who's known for, having a great presence, if you will, with the media, but I think he gave a really solid answer there. He then reiterated later on in the press conference that Reddick needs to be there if they want to really work anything out in those contractual talks there. Excuse me. Keeping it going again, another thing with Reddick that he said, quote, "I'd say from our standpoint, we've been clear and direct with our communication. A lot of respect for the agent, for the player. I have faith that this will get resolved." Yeah, and that's Josina Anderson put out a report last Friday that she thinks that the Jets feel that this situation will get resolved. That's how she feels, and it'll resolve itself. And I think that's a little crazy, just because, all right, we're day 36, day 37, whatever it is, of this Hassan Reddick holdout. The Jets play a game in less than 2 weeks. He hasn't met his teammates. He doesn't know the playbook, hasn't met his coaches. It's going to be interesting, though, to see when he shows up. If he does not report by week 11, the Jets will still have his rights for next year. Personally, I think it's something shows up week 1 or week 2, but then doesn't actually play in, a main focal point of this Jets defense until week 3. Or week 4. It's going to be interesting because Rich Cimini of ESPN pointed out September 2nd, September 3rd, that's when the fines really start ramping up and these holdouts seem to get resolved. Let's go in the chat. Wild Wave, JD not playing around. We own his rights. Jets were direct with him. All he had to do was show up and he wouldn't be in the situation. Yeah, I mean, the Jets have made it clear. Right? Great point there. If he shows up, the Jets are willing to pay him. It's not like the Jets are like, no, we're not going to pay him. They're considering it. They're like, all right, we want him to show up, though, meet his teammates, learn the system, and then we will consider paying him. And I think that's the perfect approach to this Hassan Reddick situation. Let's see. Boston Sports Central. Jets low-key might win the division this year, and their offensive center. Boston Sports Central, what I have to say is the Jets are going to go 12-5, and they're going to win the division. It does not matter if Mike Williams was healthy or not in week 1. I'm assuming, since your name is Boston Sports Central, you're a Patriots fan. Ugh. Patriots, my prediction for them, I think they're going to win 4 games this year, 4-13. But yes, the Jets, I hope everyone in this chat, all 88 of you watching live here on the program, 89 now, can agree that the Jets will win the division this year. But keeping it going with what Douglas said there, I completely agree, and that's the way you really have to look at it. And that's, it's one thing if he's asking for this money and he's going to show up. If he could even if he did a hold in rather a hold out, I think that would be a win. That would be a massive win for the Jets. Gets to learn the system, gets to meet his teammates. That would be great. Everyone, if you're just joining, the breaking news here on the program is Mike Williams will be fully healthy for week 1, along with Michael Carter II. And Lucky Fotu, he's expected to miss. Saleh also mentioned that in his press conference. Lucky Fotu is expected to miss some time. The Jets placed him on IR to start the year, which basically solidified Leonard Taylor, the 3rd spot on the roster. Yeah, Antoine Staley, the New York Daily News, reports Lucky Fotu is dealing with a hamstring injury. Robert Saleh, he feels like Fotu will be ready for week 3, but they felt the best course of action was to place him on IR and for him to miss the first 4 weeks. That would be, yeah. So that's the report on Fotu. Fotu is someone who hasn't necessarily stood out. We haven't seen a lot of him. Obviously, he's been dealing with this injury. We haven't seen a lot of him throughout preseason and training camp, so they've placed him on the injured reserve list. We saw that when the initial 53 came out. Stack, Judon made Reddick look like a clown. Yeah, I completely agree. Even if he's not thinking that, all right, I want to get, even if he's thinking I want to get paid, I mean, I want to get paid. At least he was trained to say the right thing in that situation. He said it properly, unlike Reddick, who hasn't even said anything and hasn't showed up yet. So I agree with you there, Stag. Gator, have you seen anyone on the waiver wire that would be a substantial upgrade for the roster? Any RBs that could drop Izzy to the practice squad? The biggest names out there on the waiver wire have been snagged. Lewis Cine, one of them who the Jets initially had, and then he ended up signing with the Bills earlier today. That's a whole nother story. We'll be sure to get into that. Noah Brown, wide receiver, he signed with the Commanders. In terms of running backs that are available, I really don't know. I really don't think there's anyone who could push Izzy to the practice squad. I think the Jets like Izzy because he's 23 years old. He has lightning speed. If they push Izzy on the practice squad, he's gonna possibly get picked up by another team. But Gator, I will tell you this. I'd watch out. Maybe the Jets rock with Izzy. He's an inactive for the first few games. And the Cowboys, I know they signed Dalvin Cook, but they're a team of interest who showed interest in Izzy. Maybe the Jets, it's not only the Cowboys, there's been multiple teams. Maybe the Jets look and deal Izzy for a later round pick then, if the Jets look to do that. But yeah, Lewis Cine was a name. Noah Brown, wide receiver, he ended up he got picked up by the Commanders. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I will check. I don't know. I think he might have got picked up, but he was a name to watch. Let's see. Peoples-Jones, did he no, I don't see. Yes, he did make the practice squad. He got brought back to the Lions practice squad. So hey, he could still get signed to an active roster. He's on the practice squad, but no, I don't see anyone who the Jets look at as an upgrade from Izzy unless they maybe Valladay shows something, but I have to see the Jets starting the year with 4 running backs like that. They just released Brownlee. That could be. I know we're talking about running backs right now, but they went with 7 wide receivers on the depth chart as well. Released Brownlee, make it 6. Even Valladay might get cut. It's going to be interesting to see what the Jets do because the release of Brownlee, when the Jets initially carried 7 on the depth chart, they release him. Now let's see if he can clear waivers and get back on the practice squad. That's another interesting one. So it's going to be the Jets have a lot of things they can mess around with there for sure. But everyone, if you're just joining in here, the breaking news here on the program, Jets wide receiver Mike Williams is fully cleared to play Week 1, along with slot corner Michael Carter II. Leki Fotu set to miss a few games to start the season. If you'd like to call in and voice your opinion on the situation, I'd love for you guys to do that. That would be the pinned comment in the YouTube chat. I appreciate you guys. We have 95 people watching here on the program for a breaking news stream. Everyone smash that like button and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. But yes, also we're talking about Joe Douglas. He spoke to the media today, made some interesting remarks there kind of about Reddick, this overall theme of the team, the pressure that is relying on him. Back to Gators thing, that's how I stand. That's how I stand. I don't think there's anyone who could possibly push Izzy off the roster. I think they said with 4, but hey, we still have time until we saw the initial 53 is not the final 53. We already saw Jason Brownlee get cut off the Jets roster. Maybe they trade Izzy. Like I said, I think that would probably be the most realistic option to get Izzy out of here. But that is how I feel. David, in JD we trust. That's right. In JD we trust. I like him. I thought he hasn't, like I said, he hasn't been known for having great thoughts with the media. But thought he did a good job today. I thought he said all the right things regarding the Hassan Reddick situation. He spoke about how he really likes the depth on this defensive line, and he feels Will McDonald, he thought, had a great camp. How he really feels comfortable about this next man up mentality on this team, and he really likes the way the team is. But another report from the Jets organization today, not directly from the organization, but the Athletic. David Standig of the Athletic surveyed 31 agents and representatives around the league to generate just their thoughts on NFL teams. They called the Aaron Rodgers situation, he's not a team player, blah, 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 blah. It was crazy. Basically ripped Rodgers, and now you see everyone on Jets Twitter. A lot of people are mocking him for those remarks, but Rodgers continues to get slandered there. So definitely not what you want to see there. Rodgers has always been someone, though, as you know, doesn't seem to get bothered by those reports. But that's the main breaking news of the day. And not too many. I'm interested to see if the Jets pick anyone else up. I don't think they will, but still, we have time. There is a ton of time. The Jets could really mess around with who they want to pick up. And another note from Joe Douglas, he said this roster is the most talented rosters he's seen. And he mentioned, I've been in this league, I've been working for NFL teams for over 24 years now. Been around for 24 years. He said, this is the most talented roster I've seen. So this is the year. The Jets finally win the division. Finally. Hopefully they win 13 games for the first time in franchise history, the most games they've won in a single year. Of course, coming in 1998 with a record of while winning 12 games. Let's see. JD is an absolute legend. Trust the process. JD is a 3-time Super Bowl winning executive. Hey, like I said, he said all the right stuff. I like his stance on Reddick there. I think a lot of people share that same opinion as him. So yeah, hopefully JD, he's done everything he can to put this team in position to win. Literally done everything he can to put this team in position to win. So yes, I do have faith on him, and hopefully Jets fans should get rewarded for all this waiting around here. But everyone, I think this is gonna wrap. We have quick breaking news stream here. We're just about to hit the 20-minute mark. We have 103 of you watching live here on the program. Make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe. Really an impromptu stream here, so I appreciate everyone tuning in and watching. Everyone, thank you guys for watching. And as always, JTS, Jets.